Keith Elder for Sandoval County Sheriff Kickoff Rally. It's an honor for me to be at tonight's event. I've known Keith for about 18 plus years. I was a New Mexico State police officer with him and a search and recovery diver. So Keith told me I could tell a story as part of my MC duties tonight. But I just,
team story, is it?
not a dive team, no. So
it'll be all right.
It'd be interesting. Something about being in the dark, cold water, I don't know. But I'd rather kick off the rally by saying Keith is the perfect choice for Sandoval County Sheriff. He is by far one of the most genuine people that I know. And I've known him a long time, and I've met a lot of people in my 20 years of law enforcement. He is an example of professional law enforcement officer. That guy right there. Yes. You are all here definitely supporting the best candidate for your next Sandoval County Sheriff. Our next thing I'd like you guys to draw your attention to the flag. We have a very special young man, Caden Weaver. He's the son of Denise and Scott Weaver of Rio Rancho. He is going to do our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic of which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That was awesome, Caden. Good job. All right, next I'd like to introduce Pastor Jeff Carr of the Mesa Baptist Church. Pastor Carr is also a chaplain for the Rio Rancho Police Department. He is going to be doing our invocation tonight. Pastor Carr.
Let's bow our heads in prayer. By the way, this young man did a great job, didn't he? Let's pray. Father, as we come to your throne tonight, Lord, our hearts are heavy for our country. Lord, I've never seen this much division in my 65 years, Lord, and Americans fighting each other in the streets. Lord, last night 6 police officers shot here in America, 2 fatally. And Lord, it just seems like confusion reigns on every hand, Father. And we know that everything rises and falls on leadership. And Father, that's why we need men like Keith Elder to be serving as sheriff and serving in public office across this land. And Lord, in the time I've known Keith, I know that he really is a genuine man. And what you see is what you get. And Father, I know that he knows you. I know that he loves you. I know that he fears you. I know that Lord, that he understands that one day, that as a leader, that he must stand before you and give an account for his service to you and to this country. And Father, I just pray for your perfect will to be done in this campaign, in this election. And Father, may you give Keith, Lord, to serve and serve well if he is chosen to be our next sheriff. Lord, thank you for everyone that's here tonight. Father, may you bless them and for their presence. And I pray and ask all these things in Christ's name. Amen. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Carr. Next, I'd like to introduce Mr. Henry Vega. Henry served on the Socorro Police Department before he became commissioned as a New Mexico State police officer and has since retired. Henry lives currently in Socorro. A few words.
Thank you. I want to echo the words that Jenny said about Keith. He is truly a great guy. And my first encounter with him, and I'm going to call it an encounter because it really wasn't a meeting. Like Jenny said, I was with the Socorro Police Department prior to becoming state police. I was stationed in Santa Rosa, and I got a subpoena to show up to court in Socorro. So I go to court, and I go to the district office. And since I'm off duty, I'm in civilian clothes. Dress pants, nice shirt, tie, jacket. Well, after court, we went to breakfast. I took my tie and my jacket off. Go to the district office, and I'm talking to the secretary. And this gentleman walks in, and he looks at me. And I look at him. And he goes, "Court?" "Sir, yes, sir." Turns around and walks off. And I look at the secretary and I go, "Who the heck was that?" And she goes, "That's one of the sergeants. That's Sergeant Elder." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Well, not too much long after that, I get stationed in Socorro. Guess who my sergeant is? Keith Elder. I learned right away the kind of person Keith was. He was the kind of sergeant that didn't just stay in the office. He challenged you. He challenged you each and every day. He talked the talk and he walked the walk. And I would do anything for this man. That's why I'm here today. In March of 2002, I was in a very serious car crash. I was told, because I don't remember any of it. I sat down with Keith after I got out of the hospital and a lot of other people. And I told him, "Sarge, tell me what happened. Don't lie to me. Don't sugarcoat it. Just hit me with it." And he sat there and he put his head down, takes a deep breath, and he said, "Well, honestly," he goes, "when I got there, I thought I was going to see a dead man. And when I got on the ground and looked inside your car, and you looked at me," he goes, "all you kept saying was my face, my face." And he said, "And your face was jacked up." He goes, "But I didn't want to tell you that." So he kept me calm till they were able to get the door off the car, and I got out and got taken to the hospital. Many surgeries. I stopped counting surgeries at 25. But every day that I was home, out of work, Keith would come by. If he couldn't come by, he would call me. And when I was finally able to get out, he called and he goes, "Get ready, I'm going to pick you up." "Sir, yes, sir." So I got dressed, he come by, gets me. We go out on the interstate, start working traffic. Well, it's the first time I've been in a state police unit since my crash, so I'm a little bit hesitant. Well, we get a speeder flying the other way, so he turns around the median and just gasses it. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the speedometer. 90, 100, 110, 120. And I'm about to come out of my skin. Finally, car pulls over. Keith gets out, walks up to the vehicle. I get out, go to the back of his patrol unit, and just puke my brains out. He comes back and he's like, "Oh, I forgot." And I'm like, I'm all right. Just get your stuff done. But the compassion that he showed me when I was out, not only him, but all of state police, was, I can't, and I don't think I ever did tell you thank you, but Sarge, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you. I don't tell very many men that I love them, but I love him. I'd do anything for him. Without him, I would have never come back. I don't think. When I got released to light duty, he goes, "Where are your BDUs tomorrow?" I'm like, "Why?" Because we're going to the range. I said, "I can't go," and he just looked at me. That same look when I first encountered him. So I showed up next day to BDUs. I lost a little bit of vision in my right eye, so I had to learn how to shoot left-handed. I don't think I would have passed without you. You think it's easy? But if whatever your dominant hand is, try doing everything with the other hand. It doesn't work. It took me some time. The time that he gave me, the time that he took to help me to get to where I wanted to be. And I didn't want to come back and just shoot a passing score. I wanted to be able to shoot accurately. in the 90s like I was before. Without his help, I don't think I would have done it. Like I said, I was that close to just saying, I'm done, I quit. He saw that, took my guns away, sent me to sit down and think about things. And then he comes back and tells me, are you ready to do this? Sir, yes, sir. He goes, well, let's do it. Don't think about it, just do it. So by the time I came back, when I was ready to come back, when I was released, I had to do my PT test, my firearms, everything, before I can go back on duty. Thanks to him, I was able to accomplish that. And I honestly think he is the perfect candidate for Sandoval County, for sheriff. Get out and vote, get out and tell your people, everybody that you know. He's a very approachable man. I found that out quickly. He's a very approachable man. He can talk to you. He'll tell you, he's a wealth of knowledge. I learned so much from him, and I thank God he was my sergeant. He will always be my sergeant. He should have been my lieutenant, but thank you very much. Tell all your friends, family, to vote for Keith.
Thank you, Henry. Next up, we have Sandoval County Undersheriff Karl Wiese. Karl's a retired captain from the Rancho Police Department as well, and a candidate for District 3 seat on the Sandoval County Commission. Undersheriff, here you go.
Good evening, everybody. So I was going to volunteer to speak tonight on Keith's behalf, and before I got a chance to do that, he actually asked me to come and talk. So I got to thinking about what I should say, and as my daughter told me what I shouldn't say. So Keith, I was going to do some humor, but I didn't think that would be appropriate, so I'm not going to talk about the fact that you ride a Harley like an old man, an old woman, or I'm going to talk about the fact that you're going bald. So I'm not going to talk about those things. You know, about 7 years ago, when the current Sheriff Doug Wood was running for office, Keith and Lana went to one of his fundraisers, a situation similar to this one. And Lana got off to the side with me, and she asked me confidentially, she said, Karl, if Doug gets elected, is Keith going to be okay? And I thought to myself, well, I knew of Keith, but inside I was thinking, as long as he does his job and stays out of trouble, he'll be okay. But at that time, what I didn't know, that Keith and I were going to become very good friends. And I didn't know that one day I'd be standing in front of a crowd of people supporting and promoting him to be the next sheriff of Sandoval County. So, you know, when you're someone's boss, you get to evaluate a person. And a lot of times you can tell more about a person's ability to lead by their willingness to follow. And I can tell you that Keith is not only a good leader, he's got the integrity that we need for our next sheriff of Sandoval County, but he's also a very good follower. And he has had a lot of influence at the sheriff's office. He's been instrumental in the changes that we've made to professionalize the organization. He supports and backs our philosophy of safety and quality service to the citizens. And we've entrusted him in a lot of ways. He's actually the face of the Sandoval County Sheriff's Office. He's our community relations commander. He is our public information officer. He handles all of our recruiting, all of our hiring processes. He's over the school resource officer program. Pretty much anything that puts the sheriff's office in a positive light, that's where you'll find Keith Elder. So I'm very proud to be able to stand here in front of you today and tell you that I wholeheartedly support Keith Elder to be the next sheriff of Sandoval County. Gone are the days when who you were related to, what your political affiliation was, and how many votes you could garner were the criteria for whether you got hired or whether you got promoted at the sheriff's office. And gone are the days when the administration drove the new cars and had fancy dress codes, while the deputies drove clunkers and didn't even have winter jackets. And Keith has sworn to me, and I know he's sworn to the other people he's talked to, that he will continue to build and move the sheriff's office forward with the same philosophies and with the same professionalism that we have done the past 7 years. So Keith, I look forward to seeing you become the next sheriff of Sandoval County, and I will do everything I can to help make that happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Undersheriff Casey. The next two young ladies are the daughters of Keith and Lana. Kyla is the oldest. Where are they? Oh, there you guys are. Kyla's the oldest. She's currently a dental hygienist and engaged to Mr. Anthony Luna in the crowd. Anthony. Kiana is a senior at New Mexico State, and this year she was crowned Miss Rodeo New Mexico 2018. So, lovely daughters, please come up.
And we might take over this for a little while. So you just heard from two of my dad's colleagues from two parts of his career, both from the state police side and the Sandoval County side. But I'm going to share with you his career from his daughter's perspective. So when I was born, my dad already had 5 years plus with state police, so I can't really tell you anything about that part because I wasn't there. But when I was born, he was working in governor security for Governor King. And at that point, I just remember him working with the governor or Mrs. King. He was always with them, so we got to see a lot of them a lot of the time as well. And even after Governor King's term, he continued a friendship with him and Mrs. King as well. But after governor security, Dad returned to patrol, and we were transferred to Hobbs, New Mexico. Being back in patrol meant a Class A uniform and a marked car. As a small child, I asked Dad, "When did you become a cop?" Of course, he had to explain. And at that point in Hobbs, I was a kid in elementary school with a state cop dad. And because I thought that he was Captain America, I had to show him off. I was always asking him to be my show and tell with his police car. I mean, kids love sirens and lights. And they also like sitting in the back seat pretending to be the bad guys. He was also the star of the cafeteria every now and then when he'd surprise me with lunch. 4 years into Hobbs led him to the sergeant's test and a new promotion. Back in the old days, a new promotion also meant a new duty station. Welcome to Socorro, New Mexico. As his career continued developing, I was starting to understand that being a law enforcement officer was more than a cool uniform and a cop car. A little side note, at that time in my life, I loved CSI and watching investigations unfold in an hour. So Dad let me go with him to the pound and see two cars that were involved in a collision. He let me in on the recreating on the computer, which was pretty cool and new at the time. And I thought my dad was cooler than Horatio on CSI. In Socorro, although he was a supervisor, I remember several call-outs, and Dad went and helped the patrolman. He'd always go and help his patrolman with. Which brings me to Dad's last duty station with state police was here in Albuquerque with internal affairs. With this new job and me being a teenager, I really understood how honest he had to be working in internal affairs because he had to gather all this info on a specific person and present a non-biased report on those fellow colleagues. Throughout all of these duty stations, my dad always went above and beyond what was expected of him. By being on the search and rescue team as a diver, he also volunteered working the state fair and legislative sessions. So about a year after retiring from state police, he was recruited to work at Sandoval County Sheriff's Office. But being the family man that he is, he sat my entire family down and made sure that we were all okay with him going back to work. Of course, we all agreed this is his passion. During this time with Sandoval County, I watched him work his way up the ladder, starting as a deputy to investigator to admin lieutenant, all of which have allowed me to see my dad mature as a leader and multitasker, both of which he does not take lightly. No matter the department or position my dad has held, he has always continued his education in order to stay current with the times, as well as instructing new recruits and/or officers. He has always strived to help with the best of his abilities and always asked for help when needed. So now we ask you for help in making Keith Elder your next Sandoval County Sheriff.
Good afternoon and welcome to the first rally for Sandoval County Sheriff candidate Keith Elder. So far you have heard about my dad's law enforcement career and his training and qualifications that makes him perfect to serve as the next Sandoval County Sheriff. But this afternoon I'm here to confidently tell you about the kind of man you as a community are coming to know and about the man that I call Dad. While I am no stranger to giving speeches, writing this one has proven to be the most difficult. Having to sum up my dad in just a few minutes is nearly impossible, but just like him, we've never backed down from a challenge. If there's one word I've heard my father say most, it's integrity. And when he mentions this word, he's always sure to explain that integrity shows the truest form of your character, and he has always taught his children that doing the right thing is always the best thing, even when it's not the easiest. Saying these words and living them out are two different things, and my dad has certainly lived them. It is one of his defining qualities, and one he constantly strives to live. My dad has taught and shown that through hard work and determination that all of my goals and dreams can be accomplished. And with these three qualities of integrity, hard work, and determination, these are great characteristics to have in any dad, but they're also great characteristics to have in the next Sandoval County Sheriff. Beyond having strong morals and hard work ethics, Keith Elder has taught me quite possibly the most important lesson any dad can teach his little girl. All of my life, I've seen my father be a kind, protective, and God-loving husband to my mom for over 30 years. He has shown me how a husband speaks to his wife, loves his wife, protects his family, and most importantly, leads his family to God every day. I can say with confidence that my dad has set an extremely high bar for the man brave enough to jump for it. And from our very first date out to dinner and the father-daughter dance, to the most recent pep talk after a life setback, Keith Elder has constantly been an important role model in my life. One of my favorite stories to tell about my dad is about coffee, nonetheless, and coming home is always a treat for me because every morning I am woken up with a soft knock on my door. And good morning, sweetie, it's time to get up. Would you like a cup of coffee? And I mumble out the words, yeah, Dad's over here a morning person. I'm like, But nonetheless, as I get up and I start to get my day started, my dad comes upstairs and he brings me this perfectly made cup of coffee. And I know that he's brought me this cup of coffee after he's given my mom her cup of coffee too. And after ensuring that both of his girls have been taken care of and we're happy and starting our day off on the right foot, he then goes downstairs and pours himself a cup of coffee, but only after making sure that we're good first. And it's a very small gesture, but it's one that shows complete selflessness and the desire to serve others first. In that small action, you get a small glimpse of just how big my dad's heart is. And through all the events in my life, big or small, good or bad, my dad has always been the person that I first look to for words of strength and wisdom. Most recently, I won a competition, the Miss Rodeo New Mexico, and I worked tirelessly for it. And all of the prizes that I received through that competition were super great, and I'm going to cherish those prizes for years to come, but none of them quite can compare to the words that I heard from my dad that day. And he said, "I'm so proud of the hard work you've done to get here." My father taught me in that moment that while results are great, they're not always as important as the work put in and the lessons learned along the way. More than kind and strong words after an accomplishment, my father has always shown patience during trying times through the words he speaks. Not once in my life have I ever heard my father raise his voice. That even in sadness and while under pressure, Keith Elder keeps his calm and diligently speaks his mind. One of my favorite things to say is that people won't always remember how you've dressed or what you've said, but they will always remember how you've made them feel. And I think that most people here today can agree with me whenever I say that I've never once left my dad, Keith, feeling anything less than great about myself. His own desire to achieve and be successful is contagious, and he spreads that inspiration to everyone around him. It is always without hesitation that when asked who the best man is that I know, I answer my dad, Keith Elder. Growing up, I never imagined myself telling the community all about my dad's traits, but I am honored and grateful to share a small glimpse with you all. I have admired my dad all of my life and grow more proud of him every day. And just as my dad has always gone above and beyond to be the best husband and dad at home, I know he will give the same dedication towards serving you as the next Sandoval County Sheriff. So without further ado, please help me welcome my dad, your next hopeful Sandoval County Sheriff, Keith Elder.
Well, how can I follow that? First, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming out tonight and sharing time with me and supporting me to become your next sheriff. I saw Mayor Hull here just a minute ago, and I think he departed to go to another event. And I saw Deputy Mayor Don Robinson, I'm sorry. And then I saw one of our former county council members, Mr. Walters. And I've seen some of our other candidates for office around. I saw Christie Humphreys here. And then one of our last election candidates, Diego, in the back over here. I hope I didn't miss anybody. We introduced Karl just a minute ago as the District 3 County Commission candidate. But did I miss somebody? Justin Garcia is currently on the governor's table to be appointed District 1 County Commission. He was formerly running for Magistrate Judge. Justin, thanks for coming.
Hey, Kelly Zunie was here too.
And Kelly Zunie was here. She's a candidate for Lieutenant Governor. She stopped in and spoke to me for a few minutes, and she had another event in Moriarty that she had to attend. But it warms my heart and energizes me at the same time to see support not only from the community, but from some of the candidates that are seeking office as well. I want to thank Jenny for her generous words, Henry, Karl, Kyla, Kiana, You guys are some of the most important people to me that have helped me along the way more than you know. Karl has started out as an employer and turned into a really good friend. And I appreciate everything that he has done and all the advice that he's given me through the last 7 years. He is truly a very fine man and a very good, warm-hearted representative of the county. Caden wanted me to tell you that we missed one thing about his dad. His dad used to work for me when I first became a sergeant, so Karl, and retired about a year or so ago. And Caden's one of our most favorite young neighbors on the back side of the house. In fact, I'll tell you this. Caden is one of the kids that when I get home from work, I'm looking to see if he's outside. I'm going to go play with him. And his sister is a really fine young lady. Both of those children are just absolutely adorable. But one of the things I do want to impart is that you, the citizens, the community, are the dignitaries here. You're the voters and the taxpayers that I will serve as your next sheriff. I'm the son of a U.S. Air Force veteran. My mom was an awesome homemaker. But as an Air Force family, we moved every 4 to 6 years, whether we needed it or not. And as you can tell by my accent, I spent a lot of time in West Texas. After college and life, I moved to Jal, New Mexico in 1982. There is only one town further south than Jal in New Mexico. That's called Bennett. I used to call Jal 5 and 9 from. If you go one way, it's 5 miles from Texas. If you went south, it was 9 miles from Texas. And when I moved to Jal, I started working in the oil fields and in construction. And all of a sudden, in the early 80s, there was a downturn in the oil field, and I didn't know anything about that kind of thing, coming from a protected environment of college and other things. So I always had a passion for law enforcement. And I thought, well, I've got some friends on the state police. Why don't I join the state police? Looked like the thing to do. And I started the process. And one of the guys that was a mentor for me to get on the state police told me, there's a box on the application that you need to check that says that you will accept an assignment anywhere in the state of New Mexico. If you don't check that box, they will throw your application away. So I checked the box, send the application off. Next thing you know, I'm getting a call to go interview at the state police office in Hobbs. And Lieutenant Ray Magnus was assigned to do my interview. So he starts asking questions, and he evolves around and he says, why do you want to be a state cop? Well, it kind of put me on the spot, because you want to do, one of the things is answer the perfect law enforcement answer. Oh, I just want to do good about the land, serve my community, that kind of thing. I didn't answer that way. I said, Lieutenant, I'm working in the oil fields, I'm doing construction, and I found that I need a career. I need a regular paycheck, because I'm about to starve to death working in the oil fields. Well, Lieutenant Magnus leaned back in his chair, started laughing, and he says, that's one of the most honest answers I've ever heard. I'd like to think that that helped me get the job. After graduation, I went to Espanola. Jal to Espanola via Santa Fe. So you can imagine the culture shock that I experienced. And I was introduced to 2 of New Mexico's food groups, red and green chili. And for a guy that had never eaten anything hotter than black pepper, you can imagine how these affected me. While stationed in Espanola, I met my lovely bride, Lana, back here. And there's a real unique story that I can share with you later about how we met. I saw her 2 years before I actually met her. And shortly after we were married, we transferred to Vaughn. Anybody lived in Vaughn, passed through Vaughn, know about Vaughn? Oh yeah. I called Vaughn 100 from. It was 100 miles from Santa Fe, 100 miles from Tucumcari, 100 miles from Roswell, and 100 miles from Albuquerque.
Not a thing worth doing there.
Almost. There's a little community called Ramon that's about 30 miles south of Vaughn. It took me 45 minutes to get there on Fridays. It took me 3.5 hours to get back to Vaughn. So you can imagine what I was doing on the way back. Made a lot of money for the state. Let's just leave it at that. And gentlemen, when you get married, or if you are married, and you want to find out if your wife will ever leave you, move to Vaughn. Spend a couple of years there. If she stays with you, you have a keeper. While we were in Vaughn, we got involved in the community. We chaperoned the high school's prom, and during snowstorms, we would invite stranded families to come to our house and stay with us until roads were opened and they could travel on about their way. After a couple of years in Vaughn, we moved to Santa Rosa, and I got involved with the Chamber of Commerce there and became a member of their board. Was in Santa Rosa for about a year, and then transferred to Santa Fe and became a member of governor's security staff. And when you get into governor's security, you learn about the legislative process better than any university classroom could ever teach you. At the end of the governor's security gig, we got transferred to Hobbs. And Kyla and Kiana were very articulate in their statements about Hobbs. And I got promoted, transferred to Santa Rosa. Got transferred to Socorro. And they were old enough that they were getting involved in things, so I started into working with the community again. Got involved as a 4-H horse school chaperone, a charter school board member, and then I put together the first Citizens Police Academy that Socorro ever had. In fact, I did 2 of them. And one of the things I can tell you that Lana hated for me to do when we were stationed in Socorro was she didn't want to send me to the store. It'd take her 30 minutes to go and come back. It takes me an hour and a half. And she'd ask me, why does it take so long? Well, I see people that need some help, and I just can't just brush them off and send them to the office for help. I try to give them some kind of direction, some kind of help, get them pointed the right direction, and then if they need some help after that, I told them to come by and see me tomorrow when I'm back in the office. Well, I served in Socorro for about 6 years and then got transferred to Internal Affairs. And it was a pleasure to be able to serve the state police in that capacity. I stayed there and retired, and after retirement, I really tried to stay retired. Moved to Rio Rancho. Lana was working for the police department, and we were sitting down talking the other night, and we realized that we have lived in Rio Rancho longer than we have lived anywhere in our entire lives. We've been here since 2003, and we built a house. I didn't know what it was like to live in a house more than 2 or 3 years. We've been there 12 years already. Well, after the state police retirement, and I went to work for the sheriff's office, and 18 months later, I'm a lieutenant. I started a new administration with Doug and Karl. And I found my way and served in various aspects as a commander, patrol, investigations, court services. And currently I take care of the animal control, public relations, public information, training, recruiting. One of the changes that Karl has noted that we did with animal control was that we set up shot clinics with one of the local veterinarians so that in the communities, people didn't have to bring their animals all the way down to Rancho, or Albuquerque. If you lived in Cuba, when we had a shot clinic there, you could actually just drive a few miles. After that started, I tasked the animal control officers with having a zero tolerance on rabies vaccinations. It was a public safety thing to me, to be able to protect the citizens of this county. Because I didn't want a child or another member or citizen to experience having to go through rabies shots after they'd been bitten by an animal that we didn't know whether they had rabies or not. We do town hall meetings in different communities so that I can report back to Karl and Doug what's going on in those communities, what they need, how we can better serve them. Just recently, Karl and I had a conversation about a gentleman in La Madera that said that there was a trailer that was parked at the fire station there that said, that's becoming an eyesore. How do we move that? Well, I can tell you today, our conversation, that trailer's being moved. That eyesore is being rid of that community. As public information officer, I get calls from the media regularly about what's going on in the community. If it's not our call, I send them to wherever the agency is. As a recruiter, last year about this time we had 10 openings. Today we have 2 with a guy going through to be selected and should start to work in the next week or so. 1 opening. That puts us in better shape to serve our community than any other law enforcement agency in the metro area. That's for you, our taxpayers. And as your sheriff, I will continue to provide that kind of service to you to make sure that we're properly staffed, that you get the service, the quality of service that you deserve, that you're entitled to, that you expect from us. I've been a part of the community here. I've served on the Sandoval County Fair Board. I still help with the board with some of their projects so that they can continue to serve the northern part of the county. I've been active in 4-H as a parent, and I was also Kyla's band parent when she was at Rancho High School and helped raise funds so that they could go on these band trips. Sandoval County has one of the lowest crime rates in the state right now, and that's a lot because of the way the current administration has approached law enforcement. Albuquerque reported 113 cars stolen last week. Sandoval County Sheriff's Office has taken 5 reports for stolen cars since the beginning of the year. Tell me it doesn't pay to live in this county. Now, by the same token, our deputies have recovered 10 stolen cars, every one of them from Albuquerque. So, I can tell you, as your sheriff, I intend to put forth the effort that it takes to keep this county safe, to keep the criminals out of this county, and if they want to do criminal activity, they can stay in Bernalillo County. The Sheriff's Office executives and I have formed relationships with federal, state, local law enforcement agencies and support agencies so that we can apprehend criminals and keep them off our streets. As sheriff, I'm not going to dissolve those relationships or try and reinvent those wheels. They're there, they're proven. I can walk into Rancho Police Department and I know that I can go back and I can see Paul Rogers. If I need something, he's there. If he's busy, he'll call me within minutes. I've got inroads with state police, Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office, and I plan on keeping those inroads. Those are not easy to develop. They need to be fostered. With 33 years of experience, I've taken my educational and professional growth very seriously. Today I possess a command level certification that is without blemish. As your sheriff, I'm going to encourage the deputies to develop themselves professionally and educationally so that they can provide quality law enforcement service for this county, for you, the citizens. And I can tell you, I've looked at the other candidates, and I am absolutely sure that I am uniquely qualified beyond any other to serve as your sheriff. On June 1st, 1984, I took an obligation to support and defend the constitutions of this country and this state. I further obligated myself to personally and fairly enforce the laws of this state. I didn't take that obligation lightly, nor does that obligation have an expiration date. As your sheriff, I will perform my constitutionally mandated duty, and I will protect your constitutional rights. I ask your support for getting out and voting. That's how I'm going to get elected. I encourage you, your neighbors, your family, and your friends to vote. Tell them to vote for me, Keith Elder, Sandoval County Sheriff. I am your neighbor. I would be honored to be your next sheriff. I can't do this campaign alone. I need volunteers to help. I need financial support. And I really appreciate those that have stepped up and committed to help, both with your time and your finances. And this goes back to something that the girl said a minute ago. A campaign is about small accomplishments every day. These small accomplishments turn into bigger accomplishments. And that final accomplishment will result in me being elected your sheriff. I thank you all for attending and supporting Keith Elder for Sandoval Sheriff. I did see one of our other council ladies come in, Cheryl Everette. I just wanted to make sure that you were recognized. So, thank you all.